You're watching Major League Baseball's virtual network. I'm Nicholas Callis. These are your game recaps, standing updates, and league leaders from Tuesday, June the 16th, 2020. An interleague matchup was played between the Braves and the Red Sox, and the Red Sox got shut out. 3-0 was the final score of this one. It was a close game going into the 7th inning. It was tied scoreless. The Braves got a run in the 7th to break the tie, but then they scored 2 in the 9th inning, and the Red Sox couldn't score at all, couldn't come back, and they lost. Mike Fultonevich got the win, Hector Velasquez got the loss, and Will Smith earned his 24th save of the year. An AL East matchup between the Rays and the Blue Jays. This game went to extra innings. 3-2 is the final score. The Blue Jays were able to walk it off in the bottom of the 11th inning, but this was a well-contested game. Justin Miller got the win, and Colin Poche got the loss. The Orioles and Indians played each other. Another extra inning game, 4-3 the final score. The Orioles scored in the top of the 12th inning to win this game, but the Indians put some impressive offensive displays up in the 8th inning. They were able to manage 3 runs to tie the game, which forced extra innings. The Indians got 3 runs on 5 hits. The Orioles well out-hit the Indians with 4 runs on 13 hits, but the Orioles still came out on top and were able to win this one. Paul Fry got the win, Oliver Perez got the loss, and Michael Givens earned his 22nd save of the season. The Angels and Athletics played each other in an AL West matchup, and the A's won 6-3. This was a game of threes. The Athletics had back-to-back 3-run innings, 3 in the 3rd and 3 in the 4th inning. The Angels had a 3-run 6th inning, but they fell short by 3 because they couldn't score anymore. Frankie Montas got the win, Andrew Heaney got the loss, and Liam Hendricks earned his 28th save of the season. Interleague play between the Brewers and the Twins saw the Twins win 8-7. The Brewers had the lead after the top of the 8th inning. They put up a 4-run inning. Then the Twins responded with a 5-run inning that gave them the lead and ultimately won them the game. Cody Stashak got the win, Josh Hader got the loss, and Tyler Duffy earned his 6th save of the season. The White Sox and Tigers played each other in an AL Central matchup. This game went to extra innings. It went 12 innings, but the White Sox were able to come out on top and win 8-5. The Tigers had the lead going into the 9th inning, but the White Sox scored 2 to tie the game at 5, which forced the game into extras. And as mentioned before, the White Sox scored the winning runs in that top of the 12th inning. Jace Fry got the win, Brian Garcia got the loss, and Alex Colome earned his 19th save of the season. AL West baseball between the Astros and the Mariners. 3-2 is the final score of this game. The Mariners struck first in the 3rd. The Astros took the lead in the 5th with a 2-run inning. But then in the bottom of the 9th, Roberto Osuna was attempting a save when Mitch Haniger hit a 2-run home run. Roberto Osuna got hit with the loss and the blown save, and the Mariners stole a win away from one of the top teams in the AL West. The Royals and Rangers played each other, 3-2 the final score of this game. A close one, but the Royals edged out the Rangers. The difference maker was that 2-run 2nd inning that the Royals had. And then they put up a run in the 3rd inning. The Rangers scored in the 1st and the 6th. And each team got 6 hits and committed an error, but the Royals came out on top of this one. Jorge Lopez got the win, Kyle Gibson got the loss, and Ian Kennedy earned his 12th save of the year. The Giants and Nationals played each other, 8-3 the final score. The Giants scored first in the 6th inning, but then the Nationals put up 4 in the 7th inning, which turned out to be all they needed, but just for good measure, they put up another 4-run inning an inning later in the 8th. They won by 5 runs. Ronis Elias got the win, Jeff Samardzija got the loss. Interleague play between the Yankees and Pirates. Quite simply, 10-2 was the final score. The Yankees won by a boatload. James Paxton got the win, and Joe Musgrove got the loss. The Mets and Cubs played each other. 2-1 was the final score of this game. The Cubs got 2 runs on 9 hits. The Mets got 1 run on 4 hits. And you see, there's just a section of this game that each team scored in. Each team scored in the 6th. The Cubs scored what we know now is the go-ahead run in the 7th inning. And that was the final. Kyle Hendricks got the win. Robert Geiselman got the loss. And Craig Kimbrell earned his 24th save of the season. NL East baseball between the Marlins and the Phillies. The Phillies came out on top by a large amount, 7-0 the final score. The Phillies scored first with a 3-run bottom of the 1st inning. They put up 2 in the 3rd and 2 in the 4th, but that's really all they needed. They didn't score after that, and the Marlins got shut out. Aaron Nola got the win, and Sandy Alcantara got the loss. The Rockies and Cardinals played each other in a lopsided game, 13-3 the final score. The Cardinals ended up winning, and before the 6th inning, you'd have thought that the Rockies had a nice lead, a safe lead. It was 3-0. But then the Cardinals put up 4 in the 6th. They followed that up with a 4-run 7th, and then put up 5 in the 8th inning, which allowed them to win by 10 runs. Tyler Webb got the win, and Kyle Freeland got the loss. NL West baseball between the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers. So the Diamondbacks win. They've won in back-to-back nights now. 6-3 is the final score. So I can't see the scoreline to the left, but the teams were tied before that 6th inning. And then you see in the 12th inning, each team put up a run to tie the game at 3. Then the Diamondbacks broke out with a 3-run 14th inning that allowed them to win the ball game. The Dodgers couldn't respond to that. They were shut out in the bottom of the 14th inning, and they lost by 3 runs. Archie Bradley got the win, Adam Kolarek got the loss, and Hector Rondon earned his first save of the year. The Reds and Padres played each other. The Reds came out on top 6-4 was the final score. It was 3-1 after the 4th inning. The Padres had the lead, and the Reds put up a run in the 7th and 4 in the 8th inning. The Padres responded with a 1-run 8th, but could not score in the 9th inning, and they lost by 2 runs. Matt Bowman got the win, Emilio Pagan got the loss, and Raisel Iglesias earned his 14th save of the season. Looking at standings now, starting in the American League East, the New York Yankees are still at the top. They're 43-30. They beat the Pirates today. The Blue Jays had a walk-off win in extra innings against the Rays. They're 41-32. They're keeping pace with the Yankees, still 2 games back. The Rays have lost 2 in a row. They're 35-39. They're 8.5 games back. The Red Sox, same situation. The Red Sox lost today. They're 35-39, 8.5 games back. And the Orioles are 33-40. They've won 3 games in a row, but they're still in last place. They're 10 games back of the Yankees for first. In the American League Central, the Minnesota Twins are at the top. They've won 3 games in a row. They're 53-21, still the best record in baseball. The White Sox trailing the Twins. They're 44-29, 8.5 games back. The Indians are 40-34, 13 games back. The Tigers 29-43, they're 23 games back. And the Royals are 24-50. They're 29 games back of the Twins, though they've won 2 games in a row, but they've lost 6 of their last 10. In the American League West, the Oakland Athletics are 47-27. They're still at the top, and they've gained some ground now. The Astros lost today, so they're 41-31 now, and they're 5 games back of the A's for first place. The Angels are 34-38, 12 games back. The Rangers have lost 4 games in a row. They're 29-45, 18 games back. And the Mariners stole a win from the Astros today. They're 25-49. They're 22 games back of the A's for first place. The American League wildcard standings look like this. The White Sox are still the top wildcard team. The Astros are the second wildcard team with a 41-31 record. But the Blue Jays won today and the Astros lost. So the Blue Jays are gaining now on that second wildcard spot. They're a half game back of the Astros. The Indians are 40-34 after losing 2 in a row. They've lost some ground, but they're still in contention, just 2 games back of the Astros. But every other team in the American League has a winning percentage under 500 and is at least 7 games back of the Astros for that second wildcard spot. In the National League East, the Washington Nationals are 42-30. They're back to having sole possession of first place after being tied with the Marlins for a short bit of time, but the Marlins lost today to the Phillies. And since the Nationals won today, the Marlins are pushed back a game. They're now 1 game back of the Nationals for first place. The Braves won today against the Red Sox. They're 38-35, 4.5 games back, getting back into contention. The Phillies broke their 11-game losing streak today with a win against the Marlins. They're 34-37, 7.5 games back. And the Mets are 30-42. They're 12 games back. They've lost 2 games in a row and 6 of their last 10. In the National League Central, the St. Louis Cardinals are 40-32, the first team in this division to get to 40 wins. The Cubs are in second place. They're 35-38, 5.5 games back. The Brewers are 33-39. They've lost 2 games in a row. They're 7 games back. The Reds are 31-42, 9.5 games back. They've won 2 games in a row. And the Pirates are 29-43. They lost to the Yankees today. They're 11 games back of the Cardinals for first place. And in the National League West, the Los Angeles Dodgers, the first team in the National League to 50 wins. They've had 50 wins for a short bit of time, but they've lost 2 games in a row, so that hasn't progressed. But they're still in first place, and by a large margin. The Diamondbacks are in second place. They're 40-33. They're 10 games back. They've won 4 games in a row, 7 of their last 10, and they passed the Padres for second place. The Padres are falling further down in the NL West. They're in third place with a 40-34 record, 10.5 games back. They've lost 3 games in a row, and they've lost 7 of their last 10. The Rockies are 30-42, 19.5 games back. They've lost 2 in a row. And the Giants are on a 3-game losing streak. They've lost 8 of their last 10. They're 27-45, 22.5 games back in last place. And the National League wildcard standings look like this. The Miami Marlins have the top spot. They're 41-31. The Diamondbacks have moved into position for the second wildcard spot since they passed the Padres in the divisional standings. They also passed the Padres on the wildcard standings. So the Padres now a half game back of the Diamondbacks for that second wildcard spot. The Braves are 2 games back, they're 38-35, and every other team on this list has a winning percentage under 500 and is at least 5 games back of the second wildcard spot that the Diamondbacks occupy. Looking at league leaders now, starting with batting average leaders in the American League. Miguel Cabrera still at the top with a .378 batting average. Carlos Santana second best with a .351, and Miguel Andujar third best with a .350. In the National League, Paul Goldschmidt has a .376, David Dahl's at a .356, and Jonathan Villar third best with a .344. Hits leaders in the American League, Miguel Andujar is at 106, Miguel Cabrera is at 105, DJ LeMahieu and JD Martinez tied for third best with 99. In the National League, Jonathan Villar at the top with 106, Paul Goldschmidt close to 100, he's at 99, and Ronald Acuna Jr. is third best with 93. At bat leaders in the American League, Miguel Andujar has 303 at bats. In the National League, Jonathan Villar leads with 308. Doubles leaders in the American League, Anthony Rendon has 27 doubles, Jose Abreu's at 24, Miguel Andujar third best with 23. In the National League, Jonathan Villar has 33 doubles, Christian Yelich is at 26, and Trey Turner's third best with 23. Triples leaders in the American League, Jose Altuve is at 6, and then Whit Merrifield, Steven Piscotty, Adalberto Mondesi, Eddie Rosario, and Max Kepler are all tied for second best with 4. In the National League, Jonathan Villar tops the list with 9, Victor Robles second best with 6, Chris Bryant and Hunter Pence third best with 5. Home run leaders in the American League, Justin Upton has 25 home runs. And then there's a 3-way tie for second best, JD Martinez, Josh Donaldson, and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. all tied with 24. In the National League, Ronald Acuna Jr. is at the top with 29, Paul Goldschmidt second best with 26. Max Muncy and Christian Yelich tied for third best, they each have 18. RBI leaders in the American League, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. has 70, Chris Davis second best with 64, and Jorge Soler third best with 63. In the National League, Paul Goldschmidt has 71 RBIs, and he has a large lead. Christian Yelich and Cody Bellinger each have the next best total, they're both at 56. Runs scored leaders in the American League, Yohan Moncada at the top with 58 in the AL. In the NL, Ronald Acuna Jr. has 64, and he's at the top. Stolen base leaders in the American League, Adalberto Mondesi has 16, Malik Smith is at 14, D. Gordon and Whit Merrifield are tied for third best with 13. In the National League, Starling Marte has 28, Trey Turner 2 behind him with 26, and Jonathan Villar rounds up the top 3 with 19. Walks leaders in the American League, Alex Bregman and Shin-Soo Choo are at the top with 48. In the National League, Mookie Betts and Rhys Hoskins are tied for the top spot. They each have 49. On base percentage leaders in the American League, Miguel Cabrera has a .446 OBP, Carlos Santana second best with a .428, and Alex Bregman rounds out the top 3 with a .426. In the National League, Paul Goldschmidt has a .471, Christian Yelich is at a .430, and Dansby Swanson is third best with a .423. Slugging percentage leaders in the American League, Josh Donaldson has a .690 slugging percentage, Yohan Moncada second best with a .650, and JD Martinez third best with a .638. In the National League, Paul Goldschmidt is at the top with a .760 slugging percentage, Ronald Acuna Jr. second best with a .745, and Christian Yelich rounds out the top 3 with a .678. On base percentage plus slugging percentage leaders in the American League, Josh Donaldson's at the top with a 1.115. In the NL, Paul Goldschmidt tops the list with a 1.232 OPS. Moving on to pitcher statistics, starting with wins leaders in the American League, Kenta Maeda tops the list with 9 wins. Jake Odorizzi and Hyunjin Ryu are tied for second best with 8. In the National League, Walker Buehler has 11 wins. Madison Bumgarner and Jimmy Nelson are tied for second best with 8. Losses leaders in the American League, there's one American League pitcher qualifying for this list with no losses, and that's Kenta Maeda. Everybody else has 1 or more. In the National League, Walker Buehler tops this list with the least amount of losses. He's at 1. Everybody else has 2 or more. Saves leaders in the American League, Liam Hendriks tops the list with 28. Brad Hand second best with 26. And Roberto Ozuna rounds out the top 3 with 23. In the National League, Giovanni Gallegos leads with 26, as does Kenley Jansen. They're both at the top, and they each have 26. And tied for third best is Craig Kimbrell, Sean Doolittle, and Will Smith. They each have 24. ERA leaders in the American League, Kenta Maeda and Mike Minor at the top with a 2.23 earned run average. Jordan Zimmerman rounds out the top three with a 2.66. In the National League, Marcus Stroman has the lowest ERA at 1.94. Walker Buehler second best with a 1.98. And Mike Soroka third best with a 2.42. Home runs allowed among American League pitchers, Gio Gonzalez and Mike Minor have led up the least in the league. They have allowed 6 home runs each. And in the National League, Marcus Stroman and Garrett Richards are at the top. They've allowed the least amount of home runs, which is 4. Shutout leaders in the American League, Garrett Cole and Masahiro Tanaka are at the top of the list with 3. Jake Odorizzi's third best with 2. In the National League, Jacob deGrom has 3. That's the most. Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, and Merrill Kelly and Walker Buehler each have 2 shutouts on the year, and they're all tied for second best. Strikeout leaders in the American League, Garrett Cole has 127, Lucas Giolito's at 112, and Carlos Carrasco's third best with 110. In the National League, Clayton Kershaw's at 124, Steven Strasburg's at 121, and Max Scherzer's third best with 112. Complete games thrown among American League pitchers, Garrett Cole has 3 complete games thrown, as does Masahiro Tanaka. Then you have Aaron Savali and Jake Odorizzi tied for third best with 2. In the National League, Aaron Nola, Jacob deGrom, and Zach Wheeler have each thrown 3 complete games. Merrill Kelly and Walker Buehler are tied for second best with 2. Innings pitched leaders in the American League, Hyunjin Ryu has 102 innings pitched. That's the most in the AL. In the NL, Aaron Nola and Clayton Kershaw have each thrown 105 innings. They're 1 and 2 on this list. And Steven Strasburg's third best with 103rd innings recorded. Walks allowed among American League pitchers, Carlos Carrasco's allowed the least. He's allowed 12. In the National League, Brett Anderson's allowed 17, which is the least in the NL. Whip leaders in the American League, Masahiro Tanaka is at a 104 whip, Jake Odorizzi with a 105, and Kenta Maeda is at a 107. In the National League, Aaron Nola is at a 1, Marcus Stroman is at a 101, and Mike Soroka third best with a 102. Pitching WAR leaders in the American League, Jake Odorizzi and Shane Bieber at the top with 2-4 WARs, Garrett Cole and Carlos Carrasco at 3 and 4 on the list with a 2-3. Masahiro Tanaka also has a 2-3. He's 5th best, and Corey Kluber makes up the 6th person on this list, the 6th best WAR on this list. He's at a 2-2. In the National League, pitching WAR leaders, Clayton Kershaw is a 2.5, as does Steven Strasburg. Jacob deGrom and Ravi Ray are each at a 2.4. Aaron Nola's at a 2.3. Yu Darvish, Walker Buehler are both at a 2.1, and David Price, the only other pitcher on this list, with a WAR at 2 or more, and they all make up the top 8 on this National League pitching WAR leaders list. Batting WAR leaders in the American League, Marcus Semion's at a 4.9, Yohan Moncada's at a 4.5, and DJ LeMahieu's at a 4.3. In the National League, Ronald Acuna Jr. is at a 5.8. Christian Yelich and Paul Goldschmidt have each reached 5. They make up the top 3 on this list. These have been your game recaps, standing updates, and league leaders from Tuesday, June the 16th, 2020. I'm Nicholas Callis. You've been watching Major League Baseball's Virtual Network.